It's that time to thank our sponsors, and we're going to run down this list. We're going to talk about the Fat Boy app, the locally owned mom and pop restaurant locator. Listen, if you're tired of eating from those chain restaurants and you want a mom and pop restaurant, download the Fat Boy app and become a dining diva or a fat boy today. Hey, go to their website at www.fatboyapp.com. Check it out. You get perks for becoming a dining diva or a fat boy. You're traveling this summer and you want somewhere local to eat that's not a chain restaurant, you're going to need this app. This app's going to guide you to where you want to go to that good food. So download them today, available on Android and iOS. That's the Fatboy app. Become a dining diva and fat boy today. Stephen Watson at Watson's Transmission, he is your go-to guy. We got to thank him, man. He's your go-to guy for transmission work. And I'm telling you, if my transmission ever goes out, I'm going to Stephen. I don't know what else to do. I'm going to go to Stephen and be like, hey, Stephen, do your magic, work your magic on this transmission because he can bring them back to life. If he can't fix it, then it's really broken. He's going to get you another one. So check out Stephen Watson at Watson's Transmissions. Ironstein Coffee there in Morganfield, Kentucky. You want some hometown brewed coffee, hometown roasted coffee beans there in Morganfield, Kentucky. My favorite's the Miner. I like that dark roast. I like it dark, good old dark strong coffee is what I like. That's my favorite. So go check out Jerry and his buddy there at Ironstein Coffee in Morganfield. And while you're there, slip on in to Jen's General Store. Check her out. Hey, I went in there today to get a haircut from Jerry, and I walked through Jen's, and they got a little pathway. It's like the Candyland board is what it looks like. And it just kind of took me back. And there's candies, and there's drinks, and there's man, they do milkshakes and sandwiches, and it's so cool. There's so many things in there to check out. A lot of local items. I think there's some local honey in there from a feller there that lives in the county. So there's all kinds of things there at Jen's General Store. Go back in time to when you were a kid, especially us Gen Xers, man. There's all kinds of our candies in there. I love going in there. Every time I go in there, it's just you feel welcomed and you're taking a trip back in time. So check out Jen's General Store. Wolf's Customs, that's Jake Wolf in Waverly, has got you covered this summer. You need a radiator flush, you need some coolant, your vehicle trying to overheat because it's going to get hot outside, or your tires are just low, or you need a lift on your truck, you need your brakes changed. Holler at Jake Wolf at Wolf's Customs there in Waverly, Kentucky. Are you looking for a private property, a commercial property? You looking for your first house, your second house, your third house, your neighbor's house? It doesn't matter. You looking for some property to buy? Holler at Josh Parrish at BHG Realty. Listen, Josh has got it going on, man. He's a good dude. He's straight up with you, and he can find you the piece of property or the building or the land, whatever it is you're looking for. Josh is the guy to go to. I promise you that. He's going to help you every which way he can. And if he can't get it or doesn't know how to get it, he's going to reach out and he's going to exhaust all his resources for you because he wants to be your realtor. So check out Josh Parrish at BHG Realty for the next time you're looking for that home away from home or you just want to buy your neighbor's home. It's for sale. Why not? Holler at Josh. He's going to take care of you. I promise you that. You're rolling around in Booneville, up there, Boone, Vegas, up there, Booneville, Indiana. You're up there at the McDonald's on top of the hill, and you look over and you see this place is called Warwick County Tire. Well, that's the place you need to go if you need tires. You need air in your tires. You need your tires plugged. You need your tires patched. You need tire work. You need brake work. Go see Billy at Warwick County Tire. He's going to take care of you like he took care of me. True story. I ordered some tires from him. Hey, dude, I was in and out in no time. Professionally done, fantastic service. And I'm not just saying that because I know Billy and Billy's family. I'm telling you because he takes pride in what he does at Warwick County Tire. So go see Billy at Warwick County Tire up there in Booneville, Indiana, and Boone, Vegas. Give a new shout out to Hackney Door Company. We'd like to thank them for the apparel we're wearing today. You got the Hackney Door Company hat and shirt on. Shane out there in Crittenden County, out there in Marion, Kentucky at Hackney Door Company. Listen, you need garage doors, you need building doors, you need doors that open and doors that close and doors that don't squeak and doors. You need a door. Holler at Shane Hackney at Hackney Door Company. We're going to put that information up for you too. So give him a call for all your door needs. And we appreciate you, Shane, for sending us the shirt and the hat. And we definitely appreciate your support here on Front Porch America. So I think that's our sponsors. So let's get to the podcast.
Respect, no judgment. Open up, say what you want to say. Be real, be kind, free speech. Make this a better day. You got a voice, a story to be heard. Share it on the front porch, America.
This September, for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, we sat down with Jennifer and Chase Mathews, along with their daughter Sarah, to talk about Sarah's brave brother, Owen Mathews. A boy lost his battle with a terminal illness, and they shared Owen's incredible story of courage and resilience and joy, and they spoke candidly about the devastating impact of childhood cancer on families. Now, the Matthews family has been through it, and they are dedicated to raising awareness and funds to support other families facing similar challenges. I decided to put together a special little tribute video for Owen and to remember Owen by. So join us as we honor Owen's memory and learn how we can also help in the fight against this devastating disease. Thanks for watching Front Porch America, and this is Owen's story. Sports America, and today I have a new setup specifically for these guests here. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, or right? Is that correct? And sadly, that's the reason why we're gathered here in the studio today, is to talk about one amazing young man. And to be honest with you, uh, he is the reason I'm where I am. I started doing the videos, and we'll get into that. And it's just kind of just continued on from there.
Yeah.
So before we get started, I always like to give my guests a little gift.
Oh,
So this is
you.
from me and
Thank you.
my sponsor, the Fat Boy app. So it's just some t-shirts and some hats and things.
Awesome. Thank
Uh,
you.
So y'all are more welcome to throw them on the floor until we're done. So we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to Front Porch America. This is the Mathews family, and their son Owen fought a hard, long battle. And a lot of people will say that he lost the battle, but in the end, he actually, he won the battle. And I'm going to let you guys talk about it and talk about whatever you guys want to feel like. So if we'll just start from the beginning of Owen's journey, how you guys found out and how all that came about.
Okay.
So
That's probably more, I guess, me. Owen, healthy child. I mean, he was 9 at the time. Earache, sore throat, that type thing. Never, complained or anything. Well, he started complaining about his bottom hurt. His bottom hurts. And so I took him to the doctor, and they were adamant that it was just, constipation, da-da-da. Well, one night it got so bad that I told Sarah, I said, I'm going to have to take him in. It's 11 o'clock at night. I said, I'm going to have to take him to the emergency room because he's hurting so bad.
Right.
So we went to a local emergency room, and they done a CT scan. And again, they said, this was in August of 2019. And they said the same thing. He's got, he's constipated. He's got maybe an obstruction or a blockage. And so again, we were still back at square one. Well, September the 19th, I got him up to get him ready for school, and just crying, couldn't go to school. And school had already started, and he had been getting in trouble at school a lot. He was constantly wanting to stand up, they had beanbag chairs, and he wanted to sit in the beanbag chairs, and he was just...
it was because he was having that pain in his...
having pain.
I actually have a video. I was a senior in high school, and I went and saw him at lunchtime, and he's sitting in the lunch chairs with his hands in a triangle underneath his bottom and shaking back and forth. And he's excited to see me. He's waving, but that hand went right back underneath because he couldn't sit still.
He couldn't sit, on the hard surfaces. So that morning, I was on the way to school with him. I was like, buddy, we can do it. Let's just see how the day goes. And they had given me a special cream, to put on his bottom if he hurt. Well, I called Sarah because she hadn't left the house yet. And I said, hey, meet me at the dollar store, grab that cream. And I was like, no, never mind. We're just going to come home. So I go home, and I get ready to put that cream on. And his bottom was swollen. And I can't even explain to you really how bad it was, but it was severe. So, I'm the mom in the pajamas at the drop-off line,
Right.
haven't brushed your hair, but
Yeah.
haven't brushed your teeth, we're just going. And so I called my mom, I said, I'm taking Owen to the emergency room. So we went a different direction. We went to a larger hospital, and they came out and, seen him, and they got to talking to us. And, my first thought was, he's got internal hemorrhoids. He's got, something, because that's all I had been told.
Right.
And they came in and they said, we're gonna do a CAT scan.
And the way he was sitting, like, I fell back last February out here on the concrete when it was snowy, and I'm pretty sure I fractured or broke my tailbone because I still had, and I did the same thing. I would sit,
Right.
kind of where to take that pressure off. So maybe,
Right.
playing. Owen loved baseball and loved playing
Baseball,
outdoors. So
basketball. I mean, when you hear the phrase "he's all boy,"
yeah,
that was Owen Mathews. I mean, there was no fear in that kid at all. But we were at the hospital, and they said, we're going to take him back for a CT. I said, they've already done a CT. And they said, no, we're going to do one a little different. We're going to do a contrast, So, like I said, I'm sitting in there in my pajamas, hair
right.
not brushed, anything. And we had sit there, gosh, I would say 4 or 5 hours. And they came in there and they said, we're sending you to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. We're going to get you in with the doctor there. Well, we had been, I say we, but he had been suffering through this for almost 2 months.
What went through your mind because working in the ER and around this stuff, when they suggest these larger specialty hospitals,
Right.
As somebody in that field, and a lot of your nurse friends and doctor friends would also, I think, feel like agree with me, know that, okay, there's something going on. How did you guys feel, or what did you guys think when
The first thing in my mind, I looked at the nurse that came in to tell us, and I went, oh, how long is it going to take us to get in there? I, in my mind, am thinking they're sending us to another doctor,
Right.
a doctor's appointment. She said, no, honey, come with me. And still, nothing was registering. So the doctor came and got me out of the hallway, and he said, I've got bad news. And I said, okay, what's the bad news? And he said, he's got a mass.
So when they said they have bad news, was you thinking like, okay, he's probably gonna have surgery on, maybe he's got a hernia, or maybe he's got,
Yes.
you never even would have thought.
And then even when they said a mass, I was like, okay, take it out. Well, they're sending us to a larger hospital, the children's hospital. Okay, I get it. He said, it's malignant. He said, I want you to come here and look at this. So he begins to show me the CT. And I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, all right, okay. He said, we're going to get you an ambulance, we're going to get you to the hospital. I said, okay. I said, we're going now. Yep. Okay, not a problem. Still, Rick, it was not, for whatever
Never
reason,
registered.
For whatever reason, I could not gather the information. So I send my mom home to get clothes and stuff, tell Chase. I call Sarah, she was at school, and I call the office and I tell them, I was like, I need to speak with her. She needs to get home. We're headed to, Vanderbilt. We get in the ambulance, and I will never forget. Luckily, it was a Lyon County ambulance. And the lady, there was a man and a woman, and she said, honey, do you even know what's going on? And I said, no, I don't. She said, did they tell you that it's cancer? And that is when I guess it hit. Because he told me, the nurse told me, the doctor told me, they showed me the scans, it all, but it was the EMT that she said, I'm going to give you this paper. She said, it is what kind of cancer it is, and it tells you a little bit about it. Because Owen had finally fallen asleep, and she said, and I'm going to give you your time. And she hands me a washcloth. It was like, God bless her.
Yeah.
Because no one, they told me, but they didn't take the time.
It's like they didn't specify the word cancer.
No.
You don't think about that until you actually hear that word cancer. And then it sinks in. Because I know whenever she called me at school, she called the office, and I don't know, I just remember it was like in between periods.
And you're a senior at this point, right?
in between periods, and I'm walking down the hallway, and mom calls me, and I knew that they were at the hospital, and she's like, "We're headed to Vanderbilt." Okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, Sarah," and people are yelling in the hallways. I mean, it's high school. And she was like, "I need you to listen to me. You need to go home and you need to get a bag for me and Owen." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "They think it's cancer." And I'm like, "All right." I don't even know if I went to the office that day. I just left.
Just like,
I just
yeah.
left. Yeah. So it was all a whirlwind that day.
It was. By the time we got to Nashville, gosh, it was 8 o'clock at night, I guess, or so.
No, we beat y'all there.
It was late. They beat us there. We got there, in an ambulance, and the doctor, and they pulled us and they put Owen in a room, and then they pulled us into a separate consultation room, and that's when they told us that he had rhabdomyosarcoma.
Now, Chase, where were you when you got the news? When she called and said, "Hey, this is what's going on"?
At home.
Was you at
I
home?
was at home, and her mom came in and got some clothes together, and then we hopped in my truck.
So had she called you before Mom got there
Yes.
and kind of let you know? Okay, yeah.
And I don't think even when I called him, I don't even think I told him it was cancer. I just told him that they were taking him, taking us to Vanderbilt for some more tests because
Right.
he had a mass. But
So it's still just not really,
no,
kind of
not at all.
hasn't
Still,
sunk in. That realization hasn't hit.
The EMT.
Wow.
She is the one that gave me the paper, and of course, when she gave me the paper that had what kind of cancer he had, or they thought he had,
Right.
I looked it up on my phone and immediately started crying because it was not a typical,
Right. Not one that
not
if
a
you could get it,
common
yeah.
cancer for kids.
Yeah.
And so I was by the time we got to Vanderbilt and we sat down in that consultation room, I was a little more prepared for a conversation. But I can't imagine going into that room in Nashville had that EMT not prepared
Right.
me.
Just showing up, going in, and then the Vanderbilt team come out and says, "Okay, this is
Right.
And the funny thing is, the Vanderbilt team probably assumed that you were already told about all
Right.
this, right?
Mhm.
Was it just a chaos event that maybe the doctors didn't, or do you feel like they just didn't take time? And I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just trying to fill that section in.
When we had gone to the local hospital that we went to, what they thought was stool constipation was a tumor.
Okay.
They
Okay.
misdiagnosed.
I think I had
Fair
the
enough.
most anger in that
Yeah.
sense. You do too, but you've kind of loosened up with it. I, to this day, cannot stand talking about it. I am, but
Right.
I was there that night, and yes, it's a late night. Yes, but you're still a doctor. You need to come in and do your job. And if a little boy is having constipation, it at that point might have looked like constipation, but if they would have done the proper testing just to double check, he could still be here today. And that's what infuriates me because it grew rapidly within that month difference, but I can only hope but think that if that test would have had contrast with it, they could have.
So the initial test, the MRI they did, scan they didn't have contrast. It was just a regular.
Correct. And so when we got to Vanderbilt, they done one with contrast. And I ended up going to the local hospital and getting the scans for, because it was, I'm going to say, 5-week difference from
Wow.
one scan to the next.
Okay.
And the Vanderbilt team also wanted the scan as well to compare.
Right.
And I will never forget his doctor at Vanderbilt said we would be in a completely different situation had we known this 5 weeks ago.
So 5 weeks made all the difference. And
Because, of course, he had rhabdomyosarcoma. Not a common, not
Right.
a common cancer at all. But his was also, he also tested positive for what they called Fox gene 1 negative,
Okay.
which is, I mean, even his cancer doctor has said he's one for the books because the type of cancer he had, it's a soft muscle. So his was his manly organs, his bowels, that type situation. And typically, that kind of cancer grows inward, inside. You know, his was growing, trying to grow outside of his body.
Oh, wow.
So whenever they done the CT with contrast, when we got to Vanderbilt, the the, the what radiologist, thank you, came out and said, "Is this protruding through his skin?" And I said, "No, not yet." And he said, "I can't believe that it's not protruding through his skin." But there was a very, very significant growth in that.
In 5 weeks,
Yeah. It it was unfortunate.
It always amazes me just the short amount of time, and a lot of people, 5 weeks is a month and 1 week basically. That's what, 37 days,
Right.
and 40 at the tops. For something to grow that aggressive, and I mean, obviously it sounds like the Vanderbilt team was like, oh, well, oh crap,
Yeah.
So how did that? You're starting to figure out this is not a good diagnosis. What's your plan? Obviously, I guess they format a plan for you guys.
They told us immediately, that we're going to admit you. You're looking at being here for, what was the first 4 to 7 weeks?
But,
Oh wow.
4 to 7
I was
weeks.
gonna say about 30 days.
Yeah, they said, we're going to run more tests. They, of course, put in his port for chemo. They said we got to get this chemo started immediately. Of course, they, done bone marrow testing and everything, and PET scan. And they came in, with the PET scan. And I remember it was me and my dad in there. And gosh, the bottom part of his body just lit up. I mean, it was just massive. And they said, we have never seen anything like this.
His
Wow.
head doctor pulled me because I didn't believe a word mom would tell me. I was like, this isn't happening.
So you're just like in complete denial and
I
just
was like, this is all like a big, it's blown out of proportion almost. And his doctor pulled me 3 times the entire time, and each time was not good. The very first time he sat me down and he said, "Sarah, this is a rare cancer, but it's flipped inside out." I was like, okay, so rarest of rare. And he said, yes, I've never seen anything like this, and I don't know of anyone that has.
wow.
They didn't have any idea who could.
So on top of it being a rare cancer, it was also doing the exact opposite of what it normally does.
Correct.
And so did you get any like stats on that? Any numbers on
Well,
it being seen, it being treated, the success rate, any of that kind of stuff? Does that come later on, or?
that came a little later. Whenever you hear it, what do? You go to Dr. Google.
Right,
I mean, you
right.
just, you're wanting to get all the information you
Yeah.
can. And so one of the nurses, which was Owen's most favorite nurse, his girlfriend, I guess you could call her, came in the night. I stayed the night, that first night. She came in, and every time she came in, I wasn't asleep. I was writing. And she said, can you come out to the hallway? And I said, yes. So I came out in the hallway, and she said, Jennifer, this is not good. I'm not going to lie to you. She said, this is rare. And she said, I would stay away from Google. Stay with the doctors. We'll find you some medical books, but stay off of Google. And then she took me to this room, like 5, 6 rooms down. And she said, you scream, you cry, you get it out, I'll stay with Owen. And I think it was that point that I just let it out. Because up until that point of my life, childhood cancer were the kids on the billboards,
Right.
not my son. You know, not my daughter, not my family. It was you're driving down the road and you see St. Jude's or you see this or you see that. And that was never going to be my life. But it was then that I realized, you know, this is going to be a long, hard fought battle. And that first stay at the hospital, we were there, ended up being, I think, 19 days. And they were able, you know, to get him somewhat comfortable. The chemo was able to shrink the tumor, you know, and he was on pain medication, and, you know, we were comfortable. And so we got to come home, and of course, Lyon County, Kentucky showed up and showed out. And,
Right.
you know, I mean, we had fire trucks, cop cars. We had people standing on the sides of the roads. I mean, it was a huge, huge event because, of course, Owen played baseball, and one of his friends, Landon Crouch, his parents were on the volunteer fire department.
Huh.
Well, the fire department had made him a huge bag full of, you know, like goodies and toys and stuff, and brought it down to Vanderbilt. Well, Owen ended up telling his nurse girlfriend that they were going to let him drive a fire truck, and he was going to be driving a fire truck. I mean,
He completely pulled that out of his butt too.
I mean,
Like, it's just
he was, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Well, I ended up telling them about it, and they were like, okay, we'll see what we can do. And of course, that's when the love of the fire truck and everything came into play, and he got to sit in there and blow the horn and wear the headphones and all of that.
That's really cool.
So,
So, at what point do you guys tell Owen the outcome of this whole thing? And how is he handling? Does he know what's going on? I mean, obviously it's serious because he's here, and you know what's his mentality, his mindset at this point?
that came while we were at the hospital. They have what they call a childhood specialist, you know, that comes in, you know, to try to help you explain things and all. And there were a few things that how they wanted to represent it, and I did not want to represent it that way. But we ended up, you know, telling him, you know, we told him, you know, he had cancer, and that he was going to have to fight really hard. He was going to be sick. He had to have special medicine. Was going to lose his hair, you know, but we never got into how severe it was, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He also wasn't the only one in our hometown going through it at the time. We had Cullen Brown. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a Kentucky golf player, outstanding golf player. He was just diagnosed with osteosarcoma the month prior in his leg. And we kind of compared Owen, like telling Owen, you know, Cullen has this. And that helped a lot because Owen saw this, you know, superstar in his eyes
Right.
going through the same type of thing. And he could be like, if he can do it, I can do it. Like, we're
Right.
both doing it. They would text each other.
Yes,
Cullen would text Owen. Owen would
Text
text Cullen.
Owen, and was, you know, I had text Cullen first, and I was like, you know, he doesn't really know how severe it is, but, you know, you're an inspiration to him because, you know, you're going through it too. And they would text, but I still have all their text messages saved to my phone because he just, Cullen was wonderful with me. He was like, buddy, we've got this,
It
you know.
really, really, really helped.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if I would want to I mean, I guess I'd want to divulge everything to them, but then I would feel like that would kind of hinder how they fought against it. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but um, I don't know if I would say, "Hey, this is terminal. No matter what you do, you wouldn't do that, right?" So having Colin there to help. I mean, you feel like that was a big reason for
that
him.
helped a lot.
That's awesome.
I
That's
will
really
forever be thankful for that. Yeah. Because not only was Owen 9 when he got diagnosed, Owen was a young 9. Now, he wasn't a mature 9-year-old.
he was still the kid side of the
He
9-year-old.
was a kid.
Yeah.
And that's where some of his doctors and I like kind of butted heads a little bit about what was said and not said around him, because at no point in time did I want him to ever think he wasn't going to win.
Right.
There was just not even whenever hospice came at the very end. The two of the doctors from Vanderbilt actually came to our house to check in on him because he was, we couldn't get him anywhere. And she was like, "It's time to tell him." I said, "I'm telling him nothing."
Yeah.
And if visitors, would come in, they knew not to mention. I mean, I just refused. I did not want that child to know that he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
And
You think?
he had even asked us a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
How hard is it? How hard? Okay, you've been a military man. You've been through some shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
How hard was that when he would ask?
Worse than getting blown up.
I couldn't even. These things are like you said. You see it on the billboards. You see it on TV. It's not supposed to happen to. So your guys' life completely changed, right? So let's talk about yours, Sarah. This is your senior year in school.
Mm-hmm.
What drastic changes and hindrances, if you will, come about through your last year of school with helping Owen fight this stuff?
It was hell on earth. I was hardly at school. It's a miracle my superintendent and principal at the time just let it slide, or I wouldn't have graduated.
Forever thankful for Russ Tilford and
Tom Radivonic.
They, Lyon County School in general, were so supportive because Sarah missed a lot of school her senior year.
Owen and I have such a big age gap. We're 7 years apart. So I was basically the second little mama.
Right.
We were never like growing up together. What we did, but it was in a different aspect than 2-3 years.
And y'all had, from what I could tell, y'all's own little special bond.
Oh yeah.
It was, just kind of looking in on, from the outside. You study people for a period of time. You learn who's connected to who and who. And I can tell that you and Owen had this special connection. And I'm not sure what exactly, other than brother and sister, but there was something more there. And it's almost like deep down, God knew that he was fixing to go through something, and he needed somebody like you, because everything I seen, you were just on top of it, if you will.
Yeah, I dreaded the appointments I had to miss. If I did miss them, Mom better be texting me what she was being told whenever she was being told it. I wanted to be with him the entire time.
What was the hardest thing other than the diagnosis going through your senior year? Obviously, I don't think it's a regret. Was you able to go to prom? Was you able to, do the things that all seniors want to do?
He was diagnosed the fall semester of senior year. So I had a lot of friends, still hanging out on the weekends and everything. And I would be kind of bummed about that. But lucky enough for me, I didn't care.
Right.
I was like, dang, I wish I was there somewhat. But at the same time, I'm like, I have bigger issues to worry about. And I think I've always been more mature for my age as well. So I think that really had a big role to play in it too. And then the spring semester really helped because it was COVID. COVID happened. So everyone was shut down too.
So you didn't really miss a whole lot because everybody missed everything
Right,
then.
right.
So how did COVID affect? How did COVID affect Owen? Did it?
Well, we were practicing COVID protocol
Before
before
even-
COVID protocol was
Yeah.
supposed to happen.
Right.
We were, only one of us would go to the store and, everything. I mean,
I would come home from school, change out of my school clothes
Right.
completely, take a body shower, and then I could see Owen.
So we were following COVID before COVID was cool, so it didn't affect it too much. Now, I don't know if you remember, but at one point in time, they were talking about closing the Tennessee, Kentucky line and all that, At that point, I was like, okay, wait a second. So I called our sheriff, Brent White, and I was like, listen, please tell me that this is just, nothing. I'm still going to be able to get Owen there because Owen had chemo once a week for 3 weeks and then every day on the 4th week. So, 3 weeks in a row, we were there one day. And then that last week, we drove there every day. And he was like, no, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. But that was really the only COVID issues.
COVID was a horrible thing to happen to everyone in this world, but I think I'm one that is honestly kind of grateful for it in a sense because I was shut down with my brother. I didn't have to worry about anything. If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have gotten a lot of those last memories with him.
Yeah.
So, and that I just really am thankful for the homebound life for a little while
because that helped a lot with her being able just to be at home with us.
Stay.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that affect? Owen's home now, and this is all going on. How did that affect your daily?
I slept on a mattress in his bedroom floor. When he slept, I slept. He was awake, I was awake. It would be nothing for us at 3 o'clock in the morning to be him trying to explain to me how to play Fortnite. And he would get so frustrated. And then he, the randomness, I don't know if it was part medicine or
just
what
the kid
it
in
was,
him.
but the randomness of conversations. But for the entire time he was sick, I slept either on a hospital couch or on a mattress in his bedroom floor.
Yeah. Chase, what about your daily? How did that affect you? And
I was more the runner.
He had to do everything.
I kept them where they could stay with him.
You become the gopher for the family.
I'd go to the store, go get whatever was needed.
Yeah.
And because I don't like being around close to people anyway, so
Right.
So I just avoided that.
He was Owen's personal assistant.
Yeah.
He done everything.
I avoided the vaccination and everything. Never got anything. So
good. Wow. So we're moving into Owen's at home. At what point do they say there's nothing else we can do?
Well, we ended up, of course, he got diagnosed in September, and he had his first scan. I think it was 8 weeks later, 8 weeks into his chemo, and they were like, it's shrinking. Things are looking good. It's not shrunk enough that we can do surgery on it at any time soon, but it's shrinking. And we were like, yes. We're talking, there was a 30% shrinkage.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Yeah, it was
a big chunk.
It was huge. Even they, the doctors were surprised. And they were like, he needs radiation. The kind of radiation he needs isn't done around here. So y'all are going to have to, move to Cincinnati. And I was like, okay, we can do that. And a couple of days after January 1st, I think it was January 3rd. No, before. I'm sorry. It was a couple of days before the new year. We moved to Cincinnati for 8 weeks. And they done the radiation. And for lack of a better term, he kicked ass. He done great. They were like, he's going to have this side effect and this side effect. And No.
I would go up there on the weekends and we were jumping, hooping and hollering, anything
Yes,
you wanted
I
to
mean
do.
he
was never
in,
sick.
he had a gaming chair in the. We ended up having to rent a little apartment kind of thing, townhouse something, and he would sit there and get on his Xbox game all day. His appetite was through the roof. He gained some weight back because he was also taking chemo while he was doing this radiation, and I was like, "This is awesome. This is awesome." And they said he's going to have these burns and he's going to have this and that. And the only side effect that he ever really had was he would sometimes get tremors in his hands. And then there was one week that he had a little bit of a burn, but it was nothing more than like a sunburn outside.
Wow.
It was.
What was Owen's favorite food to eat? What?
I want to say Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory.
When we went to Cincinnati, there was a Cheesecake Factory. Well, we live in Eddyville. There's not Uber Eats or anything like that. So, I mean, it could have been 9 o'clock at night, and he wanted a piece of cheesecake. And,
Yeah, they do have some good cheesecakes. So.
The only filet.
The filet. Cheesecake Factory filet and mac and cheese, and I was like, buddy, if you will eat it, I'm going to sit in my last dime
Right, to get it out.
Filet and mac and cheese.
So, you guys have to uproot your life and move to Cincinnati. Let's talk about community. We'll talk about the community and how they started rallying, and then that kind of throws on how I ended up finding out what's going on and things starting there. So you guys are moving to Cincinnati, and I'm sure up until that point, community's been rallying around. What are some of the things that, being from a small community like both of us are, it's really awesome to see how everybody steps in and just kind of, takes up roles. What are some of the things that are the most memorable, not just for Owen, but for you guys as well?
But y'all, one of y'all want to? Well, Chase and I, from the very beginning, said, we're not going to do a GoFundMe. We're not going to.
Right.
We're going to try to do this on our own, as long as we can.
One of my friends, him and his wife, I think, stepped up and started that.
One for us.
And then the community had a prayer like around our house.
Oh,
We
wow.
thought it was just going to be not enough to make a circle,
Right.
but it felt like it made 2 circles around.
Wow.
I guess with me, a lot of it being my senior year, I was a cheerleader. My school would have the cancer night and everything every year, and never ever thought anything of it.
Never thought that you'd actually be.
Yeah, and then, my senior year came, and it was all of a sudden me and Colin Brown's little sister, the stars of it. I mean, our brothers couldn't be there, so they did raise money for all of us. Felt really special that night. They all wrote roses or like little flower notes for us and everything, and for our brothers. And then I'll never forget Christy Phelps. She was the principal at Caldwell County, and we were playing Caldwell County that night, and she even had all of Caldwell County bring in donations and everything. Wow. And I think that's just something I'll never forget, is having, we're rivalries.
Yep. Right. That's okay. I can't really say statistics, so you're good.
But seeing all of us come together for one thing was awesome.
Yeah, and it's awesome, but it's also sad that it takes something like this for people to come together. During this, Dad is attending your dad's church, I believe it was. And he was like telling me, I think he had left one day. He's like, "Hey, do you know these people?" And I was like, "Man, the names sound familiar. I don't know." Cause I grew up in Crittenden County. And I was like, "I don't know." So I started diving into it, and Brother Waters. I knew Brother Waters and knew of him, met him a few times. And so I'm just kind of diving through y'all's story and just Facebook stalking, if you will. And by this time it's pretty far along in the thing. And I've always been somebody I just like to have fun. I like to help, and I thought, man, there's nothing. I don't know what else I can do to, because everybody's done everything, and I'm seeing all these things that people are doing. It's an amazing thing, and so at the time I'm still at the fire department and I'm working on the ambulance just part time, and I'm like, I know what I'm gonna do. So I had a few contacts through, just that here and there. And so I started reaching out and said, hey, do these videos, can you do this? Then I would just do the silly opening credit videos for it to introduce those videos. And that's where everything for me started. Like it was just, um, and it was an accident really. I was doing something for just to hopefully thinking, if I do this video and he sees it, hopefully he smiles and hopefully he doesn't hurt for, a few minutes and then after everything's all said and done, I'd held on to him for a while. And I think my youngest son was like, hey, you ought to put them on TikTok, put some of the openings on TikTok. And I did. And I put the Cop Stole My Donuts one on TikTok and it just, like, I had 0 followers. I wouldn't follow nobody. And the next morning I was up to like 1,000. And then within 48 hours, I had like 5,000 or 6,000 followers, and then I think I'm up to like 50 something now, but I don't do it as much anymore. So
was
that
Owen's favorite.
was it really?
Owen's favorite.
That was
he watched that. I mean, and I can't even tell you how many doctors and nurses at Vanderbilt seen that video because he showed
not
it.
even the doctors and nurses, anyone that came in to visit Owen.
Yes, he showed the
Watched
video
these videos.
of the cops and the donuts. I mean, he got the biggest kick out of that for days.
That's awesome.
I mean, for days.
And that's not you was talking about the local community. It was more, it started out local and then it kind of
went worldwide.
And then his birthday, we got a birthday card from all the states.
He got a birthday
Wow.
card from every state.
Worldwide.
My grandfather and I had a little competition going, so that started, and he said, I'm going to get a card from the furthest point of Eddyville, Kentucky, and it ended up being
Perth, Australia.
Yeah,
Australia.
something, I don't know.
That's awesome.
He got one, and I was like, well, I'm going to get one from the President of the United States. And sure
enough,
2 weeks later, the President,
Donald Trump sent him a personalized letter.
So, I mean, it wasn't it wasn't just local, it wasn't just statewide.
It was worldwide.
It was worldwide support for Owen. So.
How crazy is that?
I mean, hashtag Owen Tough was
everywhere.
a thing.
Yeah, it was a and I started reaching out to these people and I didn't know any of them. A few of them was contacts of contacts of contacts. And then, one of them that just absolutely blew my mind was Priscilla Block, who's huge now, and Dustin Heron, phenomenal singer-songwriter. And they were like, hang on, and Dustin was pivotal in this. And he was like, hang on, I know some people. And they just kept coming in. And I was running out of ideas. I was like, the cop stole my donuts. And then I'm going to get my donuts back, And so I had to bring in some other outside help to kind of help me think on what to do for him. And I'm not going to lie, the saddest thing was that I had to stop doing them.
Yeah.
I look forward to trying to be creative, and it was really hard because I would try to put 6 or 7 or 8 well-wishing videos in with it at a time, but they were coming in by just the hundreds. Like it was just like I was like, I don't know what else to do. I had to empty my email out. My messenger would just go crazy, which was amazing to me. And so I started doing it for other kids, and I've done it for a couple others. And it was, like I said, it was the hardest thing to do. Is I had to stop doing them that way. So, and I saved them. Like I said, I've kind of, this is where I'm at now. Now I have a podcast, and it's all because of Owen. Owen is, me and my son started the Front Porch America, and we were just goofing, and then we were like, we don't want to do it no more. And then this thing with Owen come along, and then now we have the Front Porch America podcast, and it's honestly because of him. So we're going through. You're in Cincinnati. When do you guys come back? 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, do you guys come back home?
We come back home and we start back our regular routine with chemo. Radiation's over. Chemo is going to start back up, and it's going to last, we were looking at, I think it was 4 weeks before his next PET scan. And we were back from Cincinnati, and that next PET scan, or a week or so before his next PET scan, I told his doctor, I said, something's not right. I said, he's uncomfortable. He can't sit again. Something's not right. They were like, no. things have been going great. Radiation was great. Chemo, I said, nope, something's wrong. Like, I knew what to look for at that point, and I knew what I was looking at.
Right.
And so he had gone in for a chemo, and they ended up saying, you stay, and we'll get the doctor, in here. And so I told the doctor, it's like, something's up. I'm not leaving here until I get a scan. Do it a week early, pay for it out of pocket. I don't care what we do. I'm not leaving this hospital until you get the scan. And that's when we were told that it was back, and it was worse than it was at the beginning.
It's more rapid.
So it shrunk 30%
Mhm.
while he was there, and then how long after you guys get back? Does it flare up again?
8 weeks.
So
maybe?
not long.
It wasn't
Not,
not long at all.
and it was more aggressive this time than.
And they called Chase and I into a meeting and said, surgery is going to be the only thing that could maybe help. And they had to remove his prostate, his rectum, his anus. I mean,
Everything down here.
he had a scar from his sternum down past his belly button. I mean, it was a massive, massive surgery, and
They still couldn't
it was
get it off.
a 16-hour surgery. And they called Chase and I into the room at the hospital.
Where did they do the surgery? Was it Cincinnati or Vanderbilt?
And they called Chase and I into the room, and when two of the doctors came in, I knew. And they said that the cancer was like burnt carpet
On the pellet floor.
all over the floor of his stomach. They said there's nothing we
Couldn't
can
get it
do.
on.
Can't do anything. And
They even said they had kids, and they said they wouldn't have done that to their own kid.
yeah, I mean, it was just that he had he had both colostomy bag, ostomy bag,
Right.
and they sent us home after a few weeks, and it was just a waiting game, slow decline, just waiting.
Do you guys think if the surgery hadn't been performed, he wouldn't have lasted as long? Or do you think there would have been a difference in that? Or
The way that the doctors told us was the cancer was starting to wrap around like his colon and everything, and what would end up happening is we could be at home, one night and have to rush him down there to the emergency room for emergency surgery.
Right.
So it was pretty much a surgery that was going to have to happen. It was just,
So let's go ahead and do it
plan to
now.
or do we choose to risk an emergency surgery?
And then I feel like if you would have waited and that emergency surgery was needed, other things are going to go wrong then. That's how it usually always goes. I mean, so that preventative surgery. And do you know what the stats are of kids that have what Owen have?
So there is a little girl that lives in Benton,
Okay.
Kentucky, and she had rhabdomyosarcoma on her female parts. Similar, situation. Amazing. She's alive, doing amazing, been cancer free.
Wow.
I mean, great. There's a little boy in Paducah, that had it and beat it and is doing great.
Was it the same type Owen had, or was it the?
It was just they had
the regular
rhabdomyosarcoma, but they didn't have the
Fox
SI
gene, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. So just one little thing
But
made all the difference.
the stats for a child getting that is less than 3%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. See, I'd never even heard of that. I mean, the rhabdo I've heard of, but what Owen had was just like, and I couldn't find a lot on it. I couldn't find.
There's not a lot on it. There's a tumor board. He had a specific tumor board from doctors all over the world, and there was 12 of them on it that they all discussed, Owen's case and his situation and whatnot. But he was just very rare. Everything about it was rare.
I had even before the surgery, I even done some more research and found a doctor out of Austin, Massachusetts. I think I can't remember the name of it.
Sloan Kettering.
And kind of had tried to contact them, and then we talked to the doctors at Nashville, and they said that specific doctor was actually on
that
board.
tumor
On
board.
that tumor board. Because
Wow,
we
how
were,
crazy
we
is
were
it?
like, flies
Yeah,
to
you're
New
just
York,
like,
let's
yeah.
flies here, flies.
Just grasping
There.
for straws. So
I'm at this point, I'm clinical trial, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, give me anything and everything that I can. And when Chase found Sloan Kettering, we were like, okay, let's call him, let's see what we can do. Well, comes to find out, the doctor there is actually on Owen's case, and we didn't even know it.
He already knew it.
And that's one thing. Even in the beginning, I wished we would have got a second or a third opinion.
right.
And then that's what I was doing then before the surgery, trying to get the second opinion. But he was the opinion.
Wow.
So I suggest people don't just take the first look and just call it that.
Yeah.
Get a second or a third opinion.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so. Like your second opinion was already on the board. So, was there other avenues that you guys, obviously you're doing your research and did you stop using Google?
I did stop using Google.
Because
I went to more medical,
Right.
websites.
Facebook groups.
Facebook groups had a Facebook group. Met a lady from Virginia. Her son had very, very, very similar to Owen. The most similar to Owen that I could find. And we went back and forth a lot. Of course, her son also passed away from it as well. But she was kind of my little saving grace from time to time, because they had the same surgery. It was very similar.
That's I can't even imagine. Like I couldn't, so Owen comes out of the surgery and they basically say, okay, take him home. How does that change you guys? Like, up until now you've got some kind of hope, right? This tumor's shrunk. Okay, we've got the surgery, and he comes out of surgery, and then it's take him home.
Mm-hmm.
How does that? I don't even the words I'm looking for. I don't even think I have because I can't even imagine what that is.
I think it, for me, was more denial again. He came home and, this is the first surgery he's had. Like,
Right.
It's fine. It was right before I was going into my freshman year of college. I was about to leave. He comes home. The goal was for him to be home on my birthday, July 31st. And that was the only present I wanted, and it happened. And, my mom, as she's with Owen, is not only putting, obviously I want all attention on Owen, but she's still thinking about me too. And she sends me to Disney World, and Owen knows I'm going to Disney World. I was like, Owen, as soon as you get better, like doctor's saying in like 3 months you could be, this stuff, you'll get normal to it. We'll go again. Okay. And I don't think anyone had the heart to tell me either. Like I knew it was terminal, but I didn't know how quick it would come. So I was getting like all this game plan stuff together, like terminal's happening, but what can we do before that? I didn't realize timing-wise how quick it was going to be.
Right, that makes sense.
Until it got here. And,
Did they ever give you guys a time frame?
No.
They just said it's terminal.
Yep.
This is it. Like they didn't say 6 months, a week,
They initially said a year. And then two of the doctors came to our house, and she pulled me aside and she said, we're thinking weeks. She's like, okay. The hospice nurse would come 3 times a week, and it was getting worse. I mean, she could, obviously tell. She said it's getting real close. Okay, okay. And still, I'm thinking, you know, I've gone to church all of my life. Not all, I taught Sunday school. I taught children's church, Monday or Sunday night, Wednesday night. We taught. We did all the things you're supposed to do. And I thought, God's going to show up and show out. Still playing in my head. And about 2 weeks before Owen passed away, we had my parents and my brother and sister-in-law and their kids at our house for lunch one Sunday, and I went into his room to see if, because he was in a hospital bed, of course, to see if he wanted anything, and I noticed his breathing. I was like, yep. And I walked out and went into my kitchen and broke down. And my brother coming, because he had gone in there with me. And I think that was the moment that I knew I didn't have long at all.
So you go to church, you do everything, the doors are open, and you're not just there for show. You're there because your faith is strong. Your faith has led you there. How does this affect your faith? Does it make you stronger? Do you walk away? How do you handle that? How do you, and I guess maybe it's different for everybody, but how do you navigate the feeling that I've done everything I'm supposed to do, and this is what I get in return? How do you navigate that, especially having a father who's a preacher?
Was angry. Anger. They talk about a childlike faith. And Chase had mentioned earlier about how the community came out and surrounded our house. And they left, and Owen looked at me and he says, how funny is it going to be when those doctors open me up and the tumor's gone because God takes it away?
Wow.
And I was like, it's going to be pretty awesome, buddy, And that's what it was like the entire time. And then it affected me in a negative way. Very angry with God.
Owen kept the faith, so I kept my faith. And then after that surgery, I was like, all right, screw this. And then it just kept getting worse. And I was like, there's no way this is happening right now. I was listening to worship music. I was fasting. I was doing all the things as well. And this is what I get. I think it both affected you and I and Chase the exact same way. We weren't going to church for, probably a year afterwards. I didn't even want to think about church. I didn't want to hear people say that they were praying for me. I did not care.
Yeah.
Did not care.
I admire people that go through something like this and it affects them in a positive way with their faith. I admire that. I'm jealous of that in a way because that was not the initial effect that it had on me. It was very negative.
You're told not to question God. And that's all I could do.
I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and you may not know the reason or understand the reason, but sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
But I haven't gone through anything like you guys have gone through, but it sucks.
Yeah.
And I can't even, sucking is not even the word that you guys, the definition for sucking on my end is nothing compared to what, Chase, how did it affect you going through this? I mean, your son's an avid ball player. He's a boy. He's a outdoorsy boy, loves to do stuff. So as you're seeing him decline and closer to the end, how is that affecting you? I mean,
Um, I can't.
yeah. There's no words for
No
it.
words.
I can remember
There's no.
he did have words at first.
I would say they're probably not very
remember-
polite words.
You know, I told you earlier that that nurse came in and she just seen me writing things down. And Chase told me first couple of days that we were at Vanderbilt when we first found out. He said, I feel like I'm in Iraq in a war that I'm not going to win. And I thought, like I wrote it verbatim on the piece of paper because I thought I never want to forget that.
Yeah.
But that's how it made him feel. Because obviously, you know, what he went through over there doesn't even touch what he's going through here, watching his son deal with cancer.
It's like I said, it's like cancer is like tearing that word is like getting blown up worse than getting blown up all over again. But whenever it got to the hospice, it was like somebody stabbing you in the heart with a machete.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't even. You guys are a very strong family. Like, just what you've gone through, and I would love to have an opportunity to sit down and talk to you someday about it and get your story out there as well. But I just seeing the things that I've seen with Owen and some of the videos, like, he was proud of you guys. He was he was proud of y'all. Like, and he was a fighter. Man, he was a fighter.
Not one complaint. That child, from the day he got diagnosed to, well, of course, a few days before, you know, he passed away, we had to up his medication basically to, well, he was non-coherent at all, you know, never a complaint. And it just amazed me that he was just taking it in stride, just
chilling, dealing with it.
You know, and would make jokes. I remember he went in, he had to have surgery to get his port put in. And of course, all of our family was there, you know, waiting for him to have the surgery come out. He comes out and he has, you know, his arm all wrapped up, and you could just see like his fingertips, you know. And of course, you mentioned earlier, my dad's a Baptist preacher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's still coming out of anesthesia a little bit, everything. And he was like, I don't know what to tell y'all. There's only one finger that works. And we were like, one finger that works? And he held it up. Because it was, you know, a white, not a bandage, but like a cast.
knuckle. You could see his knuckle.
Yeah.
And
okay.
he said, only one finger works. And he looked at my dad. And my dad was like, well, what finger is it? Well, Papa, it's this one. And we were all just
I have 2 tattoos of him, and his smiley face that he wrote on a card, I have it on my middle finger because of that. So anytime
That's
I need to use it,
just kind of, yeah.
He's there in spirit too.
it was every few seconds. Well, can you work any more fingers? No, just this one,
Just
Papa.
this one.
And then he had to have another surgery, and my brother was down there. And my brother told him, he said, I tell you what, if you can count from 1 to 10 before you fall asleep, I'll give you $20. He said, okay. He said, what if I can count from 1 to 10, then that 10 to 1? He said, I'll give you $40. He said, but the people that put you to sleep have to be the ones to tell me you do it. Owen said, okay. So as we're wheeling him down there, Owen's telling them, you know. And so she said, okay. She said, not a problem. She said, we'll get you to at least 10. She said, but you're going to have to count fast, you know. Well, so they tell him to go. he gets from 1 to 10, 10 to 1, and she said, "Okay, I'll start pushing the medicine now." And so he had to, and then she, went and told my brother, and she was like, "Okay, you owe him $40 at the
That's
gift,
funny.
gift shop."
That's
So,
slick. That is slick.
I mean, he always kept it somehow.
Before he got sick, I started him on Instagram. He wanted to be like Sissy, and he used that Instagram as his own cancer journey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He taking selfies right after surgery, dyeing his hair, losing his hair. 100 likes, and I'll take off my toboggan so you can see my bald head.
Yes.
He, like Owen, he knew what was happening, but he wasn't gonna let that affect him.
It
Just
didn't.
never-
I mean, he kept his sense of humor. I remember Owen and Sarah just had.
And you could tell there was some kind of something different. Yeah.
Right. Well, Owen, how much do you love me? And he said, "You see that little tiny circle right in there? That's how much I love you." Just little things he would do just to get under her skin. And then the minute she would walk out for an event or something, he would tell her how beautiful she was.
Wow.
I mean, it was just, they had a very, very special relationship. And there was a part of me that I hated that they were 7 years apart. But what it boiled down to is he had
That's what it had to be.
the best second mama he could ever have, and the best big sister he could ever have, because, I mean, their relationship was unbelievable.
Let's get to the hard stuff. Let's get to the final days leading up to the end. So the last week of Owen's life, and just kind of talk about that. So
hospice had started coming every day, because we knew things were at a quick decline by just monitoring his vitals. And I could tell, they had him on 2 different pain medications that were continuous.
Was hospice? You mentioned your brother was there, and you noticed his breathing change. Is this during this period here?
It's the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, the next week is when we noticed. First, it was his breathing, and then the hospice nurse, she was like, "I think it's time for me to come every day just to check in." And I was very particular about things, about how I wanted things done, to make him as comfortable as possible. That was my only goal, was to have no pain. And so, of course, I told you that I slept in the floor with him.
Right.
Well, I noticed, I was having to, the pain pumps you could hit every 15 minutes, I think it was, and one was every 20 minutes. So I purposely had 15 and 20-minute timers on my phone. And so I would wake up, hit the button, go back to sleep. Wake up, hit the button, go back to sleep. Because he was so miserable. It was obvious. And then on that Sunday, we had everybody over again to eat at our house. And I remember I went in there and I said, "Buddy, can I get you anything? Is there anything that you want? Something else to eat?" He got on a big kick of cereal. Then it was pizza. Then it was, it was cookie cake. I mean, it was just, little things every now and then. But, it was a short drive to anywhere for whatever he wanted. And he said, and I said, "Can I get you anything?" And he said, "Well, Mama, you can come up here and give me some lovin's." And I said, "You want some lovin's for Mom?" And he said, "Yeah." That was the last words he ever said to me, was that. Because after that day, we had to basically
Sedating.
sedative. And what sweeter words to hear for your last words than
Those words are so much better than bye, you know?
"You need anything, buddy? Oh, Mama, you can come up here and give me some loving." And I was, "I love you too." Yeah. I mean, there were. So that Tuesday night, we were keeping an eye on his oxygen levels and all of that. And his hospice nurse came. I called her. And she came that evening and she said, it's time, you know. It's like, okay.
It's time to, I guess, take him off of everything and just kind of.
It was
She
just gonna
knew
happen.
Oh, okay.
She knew it was like his body was just shutting down. His oxygen level, you know, was 60s and the 50s. You know, we were all in. We all were in his room. You know, my parents came over and we all, you know, just stayed in there and talked. And you know, he had his little dog Buddy. And it's strange, but his dog is what made us realize something was wrong. He was going into Owen's room and under his hospital bed and throwing up. He would come out and he would go in and throw up and he would come out. I mean, he just knew
Wow.
that something was going on with Owen. But we stayed in there in his room. And then I guess it was around 4 or so in the morning. Chase said, "I'm going to go to the couch." So he was in his wheelchair. He's like, "I'm going to go to the couch." And Sarah, she said, "Mom, I think I'm going to go lay down for a minute." I was like, "Okay." So I'm just going to, you know, sit here. And it wasn't 5 minutes after she walked out of the room that he passed away. And I yelled, I said, "Y'all come here, come here, come here." Because, you know, he took a breath and he let it out. And I just sat there and waited and waited. And I was like, "Y'all got to get in here. Y'all got to get in here." And I have no doubt that he was waiting for her to leave the room. Because it wasn't, I mean, he had fought and was barely breathing and had fought. But she went out and said "I'm going to go to my room and lay down for a little while." And she didn't even get in the bed before.
Wow.
I get in there. And the last time I saw him, his eyes looked straight at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was gone.
It was peaceful for him.
He had no suffering. He experienced no pain up to that point, and that's all I wanted. I refused to tell him that he was going to pass away. That's a very controversial conversation, I guess, in the childhood cancer community. And
Cohen, I mentioned earlier, Cohen passed away a month or no, 3 months before Owen. And
we refused to
we
tell.
were not telling Owen that Cohen had passed away because it was like we didn't want Owen to feel like, well, that's just going to happen to me now.
Right.
Yeah, we refused to even let him know that Colin had passed away.
Do you think if you would have told Owen, "Hey, buddy, this is what's going to happen to you," you think it would have been a whole different experience for all of you guys?
Not really, no.
I mean, I personally, I feel like yes, because I feel like he would be so worried about that he wouldn't have been able to enjoy.
I don't think that he
the
would
time.
have been at peace. I
Right.
feel like he would just be waiting. You know, he was having. I mean, his friends were coming over to visit with him, And, he was playing video games
He
and,
was
talking with them.
still having good last moment.
He was making plans for whenever he didn't have cancer anymore. He was going to go back to school. He knew he might have to be in a wheelchair, but it was okay. And,
Right.
he, Chase found, there's a Major League Baseball player that plays baseball, has a colostomy bag. We were showing him, dude,
You got this, yeah.
he plays in the major leagues, and he has the same kind of thing. A bag on your, it's not a big deal,
Yeah.
We just never made. We never made it a negative.
You got to remember, he's 10. I mean, I don't even know how I would handle. I'm 23 now. I don't even know how I would handle. Okay, I have a month to live.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I thought about it a lot. Like, if I was scared if we told him, he wouldn't want his friends to come over, or if his friends came over, he would tell them, hey, and so there's a lot of stuff you go back and think about. Would you change? But I guess everything
Such a tender
went the way it was
age.
supposed to.
Right. There's so many coulda, shoulda, wouldas,
Yep.
and everything happened like it was supposed to happen.
Right.
And like I said, I've always believed that everything happens for a reason, and sometimes those reasons suck. I mean, they just
Right.
absolutely do. And how is y'all's faith now after? Is it coming back around? Is it still touch and go? I mean, because this.
For me, touch and go.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, out of the three of us,
Sarah has remained the strongest
Yeah.
and bounced back the quickest, I believe.
I still question God every day when I'm not supposed to. Because my brother's supposed to be here. My brother
Right.
was supposed to walk me down the aisle this summer. But I also know that I see Owen in every single day somehow, whether it be a cardinal, whether it be a rainbow, the perfect sunset. I know that's him. And I now have faith that it's God doing that for me, because what else am I supposed to rely on?
Right. So let's talk about the funeral. One of the largest funerals I've ever attended. Huge. And it was fun, if that makes any sense. I hate to use that word, but it was. It wasn't, there was sad moments in it, but it was fun. It was such a celebration of life, I guess. So let's talk about planning your child's funeral. Off a stupid ass question, but how tough was that? Like, how did you go about doing that?
There were things that last 2 weeks of his life. I knew what was going to happen. And I knew that there were things that I wanted to show and say, and there was always a soft spot. Owen died very, very, very early. Well, not very. Around 5 a.m. on a school day. And my mind, after Owen passed, went immediately to the other kids. So I made a Facebook post pretty quick. And after I, explained that Owen had passed, my only request was for people to pray for parents and kids and teachers for a hard conversation that they're going to have today. And so I wanted the funeral to be like a typical funeral, but I knew so many kids were going to be there.
Right.
So I needed someone that could cater to that need. And we asked Brother Aaron Brown, and I mean, he had the kids yelling,
Yeah.
Owen Tough, and I just needed for those sweet kids to be okay. But it's unnatural. It goes against everything natural for a parent to have to plan a funeral for their child. That's just not the course of life. It's not the way it's supposed to go. But we did it.
Wow. I know this is it's always tough and talking about it, and people say it helps to talk about it, and I'm not a big believer in that sometimes. Because I guess us guys are a little different than women are, but I wanted to get you guys in here because Owen's had a huge he had a huge impact on me and what I'm doing, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. And I mean, the videos, they pop up in memories and they do things. When just standing there watching that funeral, and just seeing all those people that showed up for him, and then placing myself from when I found out, and watching all these people continue to show up for him and showed up for him, and he showed out for them every single time, and the video was like you said, I never seen a video that he was hurting or crying, or he was such a positive young man. And just anybody that knew him would say, I've heard him say the same thing. He was just such a trooper, man. Just I can't imagine what.
I couldn't have done it.
No, there's no way. I don't know what.
They say children are resilient and they can endure, but he was resilient to the epitome of resilience. I mean, it was just, they have this thing at the Children's Hospital in Nashville called Beads of Courage. And you get a certain color bead for this and for that and procedures. And
he had every damn one of them, didn't he?
We had enough beads to wrap around his casket twice.
Are you kidding?
That's how many procedures or pokes or trips or tests or surgeries that he had. He had enough to wrap around his casket twice. And we're talking, just a regular tiny bead. And
wow.
With a smile every time.
Sarah, what's your most favorite memory, even before he was sick? What's a memory that you have of him that just pops in your head all the time?
He was so loving, but he was so mean. The first one to tell me how pretty I would look or anything. Definitely my biggest fan. But then he could be the worst little snot to deal with. Gosh, I think some of the most precious memories I have is Disney World with him, seeing him light up and everything. That was his first bigger vacation that he had ever had, and wanting to ride with Chase because Chase would let cuss words slip out, and he just thought it was so funny.
I mean, yeah.
Seeing pure happiness out of him in those moments. The way I call him my honorary little brother now, Brady. He would look up to Brady. Brady's a basketball player. Brady was a baseball player at the time. Brady was idolized, and just I miss his smile so much, seeing him look at something bigger than himself. But now I know that he's somewhere that is bigger than himself.
Yeah.
So I can think of it.
Chase, what's a memory you have that just pops up randomly?
Well, I like mowing the yard, and we did so much stuff in the yard. And whenever they built we moved in our house, and there was a little mud puddle in the backyard, back corner of the house, and he disappeared, and that's where he was. He drive his little John Deere tractor through it, and then he wrecked his little motorcycle by my shop. And then one day, down further close to the road, he went to kick I don't know if it was a basketball or
It was one of those big bouncy balls that they have at Walmart. You know,
Okay, yeah.
real big
he
ones.
reared back and went to kick it and landed right on his butt
In the mud.
And I don't know. I've just kind of enjoyed mowing
Just,
the yard just because.
yeah.
But that season's over. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to call out mom like this for my memory, but now I'm just gonna have to tell it.
It's okay.
Our driveway's pretty long, and we were riding bicycles. Well, I took mine up and went back down and was walking next to him, and he just decides I don't want to ride my bike anymore. And I said, well, I'm not carrying it. You carry it. No, I'm not carrying it. I was like, I'm not carrying your bike. You either get on there and ride it, or it's just going to sit here. He got so mad at me that literally up until my freshman year of college, I had a scar on my hip from where he just bit me in my hip, ripped the chunk out.
He did.
But would tell me that he loved me that night and
Right,
everything.
right,
Ripped
yeah.
the chunk out, and we somehow both got in trouble because it was all my fault and never Owen's fault. Owen is the favorite child. Owen will always be the favorite child. It was never me, so I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's something.
we got in a lot of mischievous trouble together, and it somehow always was my fault and never his.
Well, you're
So,
the oldest, so
It was.
trust me.
Because that sweet boy never done anything wrong.
No. Jennifer, what about you? What's your go-to Owen memory?
Let's see. I think I'm getting in trouble. Owen loved baseball. And Owen was, not the biggest boy for his age, but he
Right.
loved baseball. And we were at a tournament, and actually Chase and Sarah were in Lexington for a golf tournament for Swings for Soldiers. And I was at not Bowling Green, I'm sorry, Hopkinsville for this baseball tournament. And he was in the outfield. I mean, the game was just super close, super tight game. And I'll never forget the boy on the other team hit the ball. And I mean, it was pop fly straight for Owen. And I just thought, please, Lord, let this boy catch this.
Let this one be the one.
And I don't know, I am 98% positive his eyes were closed, but he put his hand up and he jumped and caught it.
Wow.
And I think he was just as shocked as everybody else was, but it ended up sending us into the winning bracket.
Wow.
But gosh, he loved baseball, and he ended up getting a signed catcher's helmet from
Nadir Molina.
Oh,
Nadir
Yachty.
Molina.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
And so that was an awesome day too. Whenever he got that, of course, that was during his cancer journey, but that was huge. When he got that.
I could even imagine.
Friends came over. Whenever they would come over, he would say, he doesn't even sign baseballs for people, and I have his helmet.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he was super cocky little
Well,
kid.
and that's that speaks a lot about him. Not only is he's one of the best catchers that's ever
Right.
played a game, but he's such an advocate for kids.
Yeah.
He loves kids, and that's awesome. That
So that
that
was,
makes me jealous. So
It,
I know
it was very,
that's really awesome.
but for whatever reason, it could be 112 outside, and we could be at a tournament from 7 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. I loved watching him play baseball and playing with his friends. I mean, they just were, for that age, I've never seen a group of boys that were so close and so tight. And
still, as high schoolers,
they would, Owen actually would turn 16 next month.
Yeah.
But every Mother's Day, there's at least 3 of those boys that text me and tell me Happy Mother's Day every single year. I mean, it's just something little maybe to them, but They're such a good group of kids.
That's
His
because
class.
still have Nerf gun bullets hidden in my room.
Oh yeah.
Just finding them randomly.
For boys' sleepovers and
Yeah.
me being miserable at the time, but what I would do to have it again.
Yeah, we had a lot of Nerf gun wars, and I mean,
How's
life
his?
was good for a living.
Yeah. How's his room look now?
Exactly.
It's awesome.
It'll be 5 years in November, and I still haven't gone in there. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
We keep everything's exactly the same, and we just keep the door shut. But
It's funny, we'll have before he even got sick,
my mom.
he wanted a no trespassing sign hung like for property.
Boys only.
Yeah. No, not even like a legit no trespassing legal type sign. He wanted one so bad, and he got one, and he hung it up on his door. So anytime
That's
people
funny.
come over that haven't been over before Owen and after Owen, I'm like, well, really not. You know, we didn't put that up.
It's not for that.
We're
It's
not
just-
psychos and like no trespassing.
That
Owen
is
actually
funny.
did
That,
that.
he put that there. We just left it
That
there.
is
I'm
funny.
not saying it down, but
Yeah.
it might come
That's
across
funny.
a little odd if
That is, yeah.
people come over.
That's funny.
But yeah,
I guess I'm pretty well the only one that's been in there.
Yeah.
I just haven't been able to make that
I've
leap
opened,
yet.
Yeah.
I've opened the door and dropped stuff in there. And I've been in there one other time to get a LeBron jersey. He loved LeBron, and I needed a jersey for an event, and I got his jersey. And
Chase, you just going to spend time in there? Or you just
I just go check stuff.
just check on him? Yeah. I got you. I got you.
Well, we were moving in to their new house, and I was trying to work on a headboard, and well, I opened the door, and my son-in-law kind of peeked his head, and I almost pulled the door,
Just yeah.
but he wanted to see
Yeah.
if he had a baseball room or
Right.
what kind of room he had.
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind that Shane and Owen would be.
He came like around the kitchen and he said, "Still smells like Owen in there."
Yeah.
I said, "I know. I just wanted to stay there. You know, I just want
Right.
to hold it as long as I can."
Yeah. Yeah.
When I know that there will come a day, but it doesn't have to be anytime soon. It
It's-
could be at my own time.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, it took me a while to realize that, you know, it's okay that it's taken me this long.
well, I mean, when it's time, you'll know. You know, God, Owen, who there'll be a sign, and you'll know when it's right.
But I remember she was talking about the catch. We was actually I went and did the catwalk with the
Okay.
Mark Stoops and them
Yeah.
before the game, and Jacob Tammy does swing for soldiers, so we watched the football game, and
Sweet.
then I think y'all got there, and then we went down on the field and did the thing on the screen. But I remember before we was all up there just hanging out in this booth, and she sent me a text about the catch, and it's a memory that I wished I would have had, but that was probably the only baseball game I missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Man, what?
Also, whenever he was on ESPN, it was during a commercial break.
Mhm.
And he went to school and told everybody that he was on ESPN for a football game, but it was actually just, you know, a commercial
It was
break.
literally like, ooh, a pan, and he's all. Yeah, it was.
But he made sure everybody knew he was on ESPN.
That's
It's
hilarious.
just get like a great appreciation
Yeah.
game or something.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's funny. He was He's something else,
He was a
man.
clown.
He
I'm
was.
telling you, he was all boy all the time, and he just wanted to make people to laugh.
We
Yeah.
lost him at SeaWorld one time. We looked for 5 minutes and he popped out of the bushes and I said, "Where have you been?" I was chasing a squirrel. Squirrel.
Yes, I'm on the point of calling, SeaWorld security,
Right.
and he's just down in the
He's
woods
out there
chasing a squirrel. We're at SeaWorld.
He don't
A
care.
squirrel, like, he's looking for a squirrel that he could look for in our backyard.
That's funny. That's funny. So September's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Is there anything that you want to say or you can say? And I'm sure you've probably talked to other places and stuff, but is there anything that any kind of message you would want to give to mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters that's going through what you guys experience?
I remember at his funeral, one of my friends had a younger brother, and now I tell everyone this. I don't remember much from that funeral day, not much at all, but I remember telling her, squeeze your baby brother so tight, because yes, you fight, you get so annoyed at each other, but you don't think about not having them either. So I feel like any sibling that still has their sibling just needs to, it sounds so cliche, but you need to love on them,
Right.
because it sucks.
Yeah.
Like I crave the touch of him. I crave talking to him. I miss it like crazy.
I go on like the past few years. I went on several hunting, fishing trips, and different things, and all the guys that we talk about kids and wives and everything, and I always tell them to take care of them and enjoy them and love them and enjoy it because you don't know what tomorrow brings.
Right.
Love them like there is no tomorrow.
You never know what's gonna happen to you until it does.
I think mine would be, we have a tendency to go against our gut feeling and trust doctors. And I guess a lot of mine would be, if you're not feeling that it's right, if something's wrong, be an advocate for your child. I knew something was not right. I trusted the doctors to tell me that everything was okay at that first visit. And then I went to the bigger hospital before they could even check Owen out. I started crying to them and I said, I am not crazy. Something is wrong. I'm not leaving here until you tell me what's wrong. I mean, I was pure mama bear mode.
Yeah.
And because, I knew something wasn't right. So mine is, I guess, be a huge advocate for your kids and their health. And then don't be Dr. Google. Get to the real material, the real thing, because that makes a huge difference. Adult cancer treatments are, medications or whatever, up into like the hundreds. Childhood cancer has less than 10. I mean, funding for childhood cancer is less than 4%.
Really?
Agree. And like that's why there's not as much case studies and everything on childhood cancers, because it's 4 or less. That's why you see a lot of, if you look up childhood cancer and everything, there's a lot of hashtag more than 4, and people don't really know what that means, but they deserve more than 4% because it could be a huge difference for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't get the funding, that is needed. It doesn't get the studies, clinical trials that it needs. And hopefully, one day that will change drastically. And, there won't be so many out there suffering. But it goes very unnoticed, I feel like sometimes. And I wish that more could be done. The millions of dollars that were spent for a Super Bowl commercial about childhood cancer. 12 seconds.
Right.
Where's that money go into besides just the film?
How about we take those millions of dollars and we put it towards some clinical trials? And,
Right.
It's just, and you have to be very careful about what organizations do what, because a lot don't do exactly what they say.
Yeah, that's a whole new podcast in itself. I'm gonna tell you.
Promote, and you'll never see a dime from something.
We were questioned why we didn't go to a certain hospital for, for financial reasons. And, go to this hospital and, it's free and they do this and they do that. They denied us on a phone call. One phone call denied us. But you never hear that they deny people. You just hear that they, take you in and they, do this and do that. But so people have to be very careful about what organizations they donate to and what they actually do.
Don't be scared to donate, but be mindful to donate.
Yeah.
Right. Is there like any one organization that's your favorite, I guess, if you will, one that you trust the most, or is there something that, we can do, viewers can do, anybody that may watch this, in honor of Owen, in support of Owen? Is there somewhere local, or is there a big organization, or is there something like that we can?
There is a local charity in Paducah, Book for Hope.
Okay.
Is the name of it. And they have a Dancing for Gold event. They have, walks. They do, multiple events. But how I was introduced to them was they reached out to us and, gas cards. They pay a utility bill. It's not a huge organization by any means, not huge at all, but they do, Western Kentucky, Tennessee, and Southern Illinois. And doesn't matter what kind of cancer your child has, they take on a utility bill and pay that utility bill.
That's huge in itself sometimes. Yeah.
That you are going through this. They give you gas cards. They give you gift cards for places to eat. And they were so good to us.
That's Book for Hope?
Book for Hope in Paducah. Galen Hayden is who does it. And, as far as a close charity, that would be my, local charity. And then I cannot speak more highly of, Children's Hospital at Nashville. They were, Monroe Carroll, and the Ronald McDonald House.
Your funding at McDonald's goes more. It actually shows.
When they ask you to round up,
you round up that 16 cents because that makes a huge difference. They
gave Owen, whenever Owen had to have his treatment, week-long treatments. We Owen and I were able to stay, there because, hotels get expensive.
Right.
And we were able to stay there. They fed us 3 meals a day. I mean, it makes a big difference. But those are some pretty incredible, the family that's going through it at that moment needs the help at that moment.
Right.
We don't need the help 10 years from now.
Right.
We need the help now. We can't pay our electric bill. We can't do this. We're driving to Nashville or Cincinnati or, having to find us. I mean, we basically had to find a second home for 8 weeks
Right.
and, pay
And these
for
are
it.
expenses that you never see coming. You
No.
don't know,
And
so.
I'll never forget the special kind of radiation therapy that he had to have in Cincinnati. Just that radiation treatment, not the chemo, but just that radiation treatment for 6 weeks, every day for 6 weeks, $1.3 million. Cancer families need the help
Now.
then
Yeah.
at that moment. So that's why I'm a big encourager of finding something local that helps those families when they need it
Yeah.
then.
Wow. Yeah. So Book for Hope. That's pretty awesome that they do that, because people don't realize gas cards and those kind of, just that small stuff that people normally don't think
Exactly.
about.
You have electric bill. Our electric bill last month was $250.
Right.
Well, of course, now it's not, a big deal, but
Then.
that was an extra $250 you could use on gas at a
Right.
hotel stay, or we had not exactly our transmission went out on our vehicle while we were making these trips back and forth. I was having to use my mom's car. I mean, just little things like these families need help now. If you want to help the bigger organizations that, fight for funding for, research drugs and stuff, that's amazing too. Don't get me wrong, but
You're wanting to be hands-on.
if there is a child or a family or a family of a family that I completely support a local charity that will help them right then.
Support Bill.
Or just go
Right.
see them yourself and see what you can do.
There's a lot of people that I've talked to in the past few years that have quit doing some organizations because they got into a disagreement with, but they tell you where the funding's going, but they got into a disagreement because they couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. I know of a few large scale companies that have stopped
Yeah.
because of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of local. I love local stuff,
Yes.
local businesses, local organizations that help other people and stuff. And we'll just wrap it up. And man, y'all got so much more to talk about. Just I'm honored to have you guys here. I was honored to be able to do the videos for Owen, because it's taken me a route that I never expected to go down, and it's all because of him. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. So whether that means anything or not,
I want you to know how much your videos meant to him, because if you went longer than a week or two without posting one, it was, when is Rick gonna?
Right.
When is Rick gonna? And then, I explained to him the connection, your dad and, when's David gonna tell Rick? And I'm
That
like,
was funny.
fine, I can't, just reach out to him and say, hey, make some funny videos for Owen.
Yeah, no, you
But,
could have absolutely done that. But yeah, that was
it was a highlight. It was a big deal. I mean,
well, you never know if you're going beyond what a family wants, whatever. So it was just kind of, I feel like maybe, did I reach out? I think I asked if I could do some videos or something, because I always want to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people don't want you to do those kind of things, but I was like, it was just, and it had been on to me for a few weeks at that time, and I was like, I'm just going to shoot my shot, and because I know you guys were so busy going through everything, and I didn't want to disturb anything, and in my line, kids are the hardest to deal with, and I'm not meaning by the way they act or whatever, but it's just that emotional connection.
Right.
You see a kid hurting, and it's the hardest part about working on the ambulance in the ER.
Mm-hmm.
Being a firefighter. I don't care what anybody says. and it was so hard for me to get to him because I just can't like I don't even like going to funerals. I don't like going to the cemetery. Um, so it was just like this is what I'm gonna do, and hopefully this makes a difference for however
did.
long, you know.
It did.
But I'm honored to have you guys here, and I'm honored that Owen was a part of my life in that aspect. And is there any way that we can keep him alive? You know, is there anything that I can personally do? Because I'm going to continue to do this podcast, and that's like I said, you know, this whole Front Porch America thing is a big part of Owen for me. But is there any one thing that you guys, you know, would like to see happen, or just in general to keep his memory alive, his spirit alive? Is there something that you guys do every year?
We actually, there's the Owen Mathews Memorial Scholarship.
Okay.
We give 3 scholarships, 3 $1,000 scholarships
Oh, wow.
to Lyon County students every year. We do 2 that go to university of some type or community college, and
Okay.
then we have 1 that's specific for vocational. But that's something that we, you know, as a family do every
That's
year,
huge.
and just to try to keep something going,
Yes,
you
a
know,
little moving
for
and shaking going. Yeah.
the and it's small to many, but it's huge to me every year. The Eddyville and Katoa Fire Department on Owen's birthday will come through at 9 o'clock
Oh,
with their lights going,
wow.
and then they turn around and they come back through, you know, with their lights going, and I just wait for it every year because I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know, Owen's legacy is going to live on for forever.
Right.
You know, and but I guess, you know, the only thing that I would say that would be supportive is take care of your local kids. If this tragedy, you know, happens to another child, you know, close to home, we live in such small communities that there's no reason, you know, that we all can't come together and support
Absolutely.
family.
Absolutely.
And if it had not been for the support we received from all of the surrounding counties, it would have been such a harder journey for us than it was. And that's what I think I would encourage more than anything is to get involved and see, you know, if it happens to a family close to here, get involved and see what you can do to help in any way.
That's pretty awesome to do. So I always like to end the podcast, and I don't know if I gotten a chance to, but I have a friend, his firefighter in Panama City. He does the lids for kids, and what he does is he refurbishes old expired helmets, and Panama City firefighters all sign them and make them an honorary firefighter for the day. And I think I was in the process of getting all that done, and then, you know, Owen passed. But his name's Shannon French, and he always ends. He does his own little videos, and he's just out running or he's hunting or he ends his videos with "Be kind to one another." What is something that Owen, like what's a phrase that he always used? Like, is there something? Is there an Owen phrase? Because I want to end it with that. I want to end it with.
An Owen phrase, but every day on my way to school, every single day, whether I wanted to be there or not, Mom would tell me and Owen both, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. And now, Owen lived that fully. Owen was the kindest kid, cared so deeply about anyone, everything. So now anytime I hear be kind or anything, it's Mom and Owen, Mom and Owen. And now I'm a teacher, and that's the biggest, my wall, it has the biggest phrase, and it says, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. So I think that
Well, I noticed when I said that, well, Frenchie ends his videos with y'all both kind of lit up on
Mhm.
so I knew there had to be something there with that.
There
That's
was
funny.
a kindness
That's
factor
weird.
to Owen at such a young age.
Yeah.
And we actually had a friend when Owen was diagnosed came and visited, and her son was a year older than Owen, but they had the same recess. And she said her son hadn't been going to school, didn't want to go to school anymore. And I was like, what's going on? And he didn't want to go to school anymore because Owen was the kid that would play with him when nobody else would at recess.
Oh, wow.
He kind of gave you a movement. And that was just Owen. It made me sad. It made me sad for her child.
Right.
But he was the kindest child that you could meet. And that just was an example of, the fact that he wasn't going to let someone sit on a bench alone and not be able to play.
That's awesome.
And those kids still remember, he's still making a difference even today. Yeah.
So I'm going to let you end it with what you said about the be kind thing. So that this is in honor of Owen, and that describes him to a T. Just from what I've known, got to know about Owen, is the kindness this kid had, the strength he had. Just it's what an amazing young man he.
I've said it 100 times. The worst day of my life was the best day of his.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard it was or how bad it was or anything else, or how much my faith was shook or taken away, I still know in the depths of my heart that the worst day of my life was the best day of his, because he beat it. He won.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I said in the beginning. Even though he's not here with us, he still won, because the outcome and quality of life he may have had, God knows things that we don't know. And it's,
Exactly.
and I hate it. It's so cliche, but everything happens for a reason. We may not know that reason. And sometimes those reasons suck.
That's one thing my dad, the preacher, he, tried to tell me at the very beginning. He said, or after Owen passed away, he said, this may be stopping something that would have happened in the future that would have affected so many more people or such and such, and it, it's true, but you still can't help but question.
Does it make sense? Right? No. Right.
I like to keep my
100%.
faith, so I know that I can ask God whenever I get there too.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, close it out for us. What is it that you have in your classroom, the be kind thing?
A quote that says, "In a world where you can be anything, be kind."
Well, there we go. So until next time, thanks for watching Front Porch America. This has been a tough one. And I screwed up and didn't have any Kleenexes around, so I apologize to you guys.